More than 200,000 volunteers have sifted through the sand. Just imagine those numbers it's huge. And they found more than 600,000 artifacts. It's mind-blowing.
1,000. Wow. Well, welcome to the Keeping It Israel podcast. It's great to have you with us today. And we're talking about something very interesting today in terms of the archaeology around the Temple Mount. And my guest today is Omri Topol, the CEO and founder of Temple Mount Soil. He's an entrepreneur turned investor with a background in startups, corporate leadership at Microsoft, and venture capital. He's a partner in Israeli-focused startups and an active member to early-stage Israeli founders. After years leading business development in the GCC, including Saudi Arabia, he's now focused solely on Temple Mount Soil, a once-in-a-lifetime project connecting people of faith with authentic soil from Jerusalem's most sacred site. And I know you're going to be very intrigued by this conversation today. Omri, welcome. It's great to have you with us on the podcast.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Well, before we get too deep into what we're going to be talking about, tell us a bit about yourself. Were you born in Israel? How did you come to live there?
Yeah, born and raised in Israel. Actually, my grandfather from my father's side was also born in Israel. A member of his family is also signed on the independent charter. So we've been in this place for a while.
Okay, that's great. Now, you've recently founded Temple Mount Soil, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. It's an amazing story, I think. But, as you mentioned just before we came on air, not a lot of people know about this. So help our audience kind of understand what makes the Temple Mount. And this is almost the dumbest question, but I want to ask it so that I can hear your answer. What makes the Temple Mount so significant to the Jewish people?
So, the Temple Mount, it's been there for quite a while, right? We've got the first temple, the second temple, and it's been a place sacred to the Jewish people for many, many generations. And lately, there's controversial about, who was here first, whether, and I'm not going to go into the politics of it, but it's important. It's the most sacred place for the Jewish people, right? The sacredest of them all. And you would ask anybody in the street, they know the stories, even seculars or religious. We've all, read the stories, the Bible about the Temple Mount. So it's essentially something that we all know. And the interesting story about it, I think that in, the modern age, that back in 99, the Waqf, the Muslim sovereign of, this area, the Temple Mount, unsanctionedly excavated some 5,000 tons of soil. And they took it out of the Temple Mount within, I think, over one night, and they dumped it near the Kidron River outside of Jerusalem. And don't imagine a river that you see in the States or Canada. It's a small river, nothing too fancy, and it was just dumped there. And one archaeologist, a student Zaki, and his instructor, they heard about this and they got intrigued. It was whether it was really excavated from Temple Mount or not, because it's not allowed. You cannot excavate from Temple Mount. It hasn't been done in modern era. Nobody did there. So they took a few buckets, so they sifted them, and they found 3 coins, dated to the biblical era. They know from the story, from the name, from the Hebrew name on it, and they were baffled. This is gold, right? This is treasure. And it's been displaced from its original place. You would imagine, that, if you dig around somewhere, I think even a toothbrush would be something that you would want to use carefully, let alone, it was dug with heavy machineries. So it was all messed, broken, a lot of the stuff. And it took them 4 long years to get the license to sift through that debris, right? To understand, to find out, to take all the artifacts from that. And they've been doing that for the past 20 or so years. And what's amazing about it is that I think it's the largest excavation, and mostly sifting because the excavation was done before, but it's the largest sifting project that's used volunteers from everywhere, not just archaeologists. More than 200,000 volunteers have sifted through the sand. Just imagine those numbers it's huge. And they found more than 600,000 artifacts. It's mind-blowing.
1,000. Wow. Now, so we're not talking about an official archaeological dig, this was something that kind of happened with no authorization and done through the night. How many truckloads are we talking about here?
258, something
Wow.
like that. Full truckers, the double deckers. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah, 5,000 tons. Just, imagine the amount. And it was done unsanctioned, wasn't supervised or anything. Brutally, I would say.
So what's happening now is archaeologists and volunteers are helping to sift through the debris, and 600,000 artifacts in the last 20 years or so have been found. That's amazing. I have actually been involved in sifting on the Temple Mount. We heard about this a number of years back, and we were taking a tour, and so we brought our whole tour group. And the day that we were there was a significant find of a coin from one of our group members. It was extremely exciting for them. There was photos and we had just an amazing time. Not only Jewish people have a connection to the Temple Mount, Christians also feel a very, very strong connection because of, our connection to the Jewish Messiah, to the Jewish people, and to Israel. And so it's been an incredible experience for us to be able to be involved with the sifting on the Temple Mount. Now, to your knowledge, and I think I know the answer to this, but have archaeological excavations ever been conducted on or around or beneath the Temple Mount?
Not that I know of for the modern era. I think in the 19th century, they've done a little bit of mapping, but it wasn't really excavation. It wasn't done, in a methodical way. It was just like a survey, let's call it. So it's the first time that you can actually see how things were done around Temple Mount, at the Temple Mount. I know around Jerusalem, obviously. Around Israel. Everywhere you dig, you would probably, find something of meaning. It's a funny thing that even if when you build your own home, you have to have the authority, have, like a small survey to make sure that you don't have any artifacts, in your garden. So it's that common. But in the temple area, it hasn't been done. We don't have any, we have the Bible with the stories, but we don't have any physical, let's say, proof or evidence of what's been happening, the tools that have been used, coins. We know because of the fact that the temple was so, it was depicted in the Bible in such details. There are clues about how it would look, what would you find. And within those, those sifting, they have found a few things that, they could match to the stories, the mosaics and everything. It took them quite a while to organize them. They had to find a very engineer way to really understand how it was placed. But based on, some of the evidence, some of the stories, they could really reconstruct how the mosaic was paved. And it's impressive. Just to figure out, that you can see this deep history is intriguing. It's mind-boggling.
So I'm thinking about this, and one of my family, my sister-in-law, was somebody who loved jigsaw puzzles. This is like the ultimate jigsaw puzzle of all time, right? They're finding pieces of tile in the earth and able to actually reconstruct mosaics that form an understandable picture, right?
I would even call it, jigsaw on steroids, because with jigsaw, you have two dimensions, the pieces, where it came from, the box, let's say, and you can start, putting the pieces in place. And if you think about it, when you brutally excavate, soil from the ground, you mix the layers. So you would have sometimes, vertically mixed or horizontally mixed. So you don't know where you got the debris from. And they had to develop a new way, a very, statistical way, science approach to the sifting, because they could sift, right? So you get the artifacts in your hands, but what do you do with it? How do you know how to time it? No, other than, carbon dating and stuff like that. So what they did is statistically, they took a lot of the archaeology artifacts that came from Jerusalem from that time, not just Jerusalem, but also in Israel, and they dated them, and then they had to put them in a computer to figure out, what would be the baseline. So let's say when they found a pottery, they would go in, and look through that and then figure out what would be the right time for that. And it's never been done before because, you dig in the place, you understand the place, and the history, you dig through the layers and you understand the timeline. This, they had not only to reconstruct the physical, but also the timeline. Zaki, the CEO of the NGO that does this, the Temple Mount Sifting Project, he showed me the data set. It's astonishing. And I think and I've learned it just now. Once you excavate, you see if whatever you date, before you can show it, before you can display it in a museum, you have to write a piece about this. So it's known, it's dated, the proof, so to speak, about what you want to say. And it's mostly the difficult part, the lengthiest part, and the most expensive part to do. And they've been storing all of those, most of those artifacts. And now what we do, we help them secure that, right? To fund the ongoing of that project. I think what I'm saying is that within the next year, I think we will be able to really see all those artifacts, and that would really be the amazing thing about it. I mean, imagine that you have, moving displays of Temple Mount going from country to country, right? So you can see it, you can feel it. And I've seen a few. I've seen, seals. I've seen the seals imprints, on a cover of a pottery. So that pottery was very important because it was sealed with clay and it was, stamped with the seal. And you can actually see the Hebrew letters and the coins. It's something that you really have to see. And you've been to the sifting project. So, I kind of like, imagine, describe it sort of like as an Indiana Jones kind of like a thing. Because you get the net, right? You get the pile, you put it on the net, and then it's called a wet sifting because you wash it with water, and then you find all the stuff, and then you catalog them, whether it's, glass, metal, pottery.
Yeah.
Sort of like really Indiana Jones kind of like, experience.
Yeah, it is really fun to do. And if anybody's listening, watching, and you have plans to go to Israel and you're going to be in Jerusalem, take a couple hours and go and do this, because it really is quite an experience. And with tour groups, it's kind of fun too, because you have the water hose, and they don't like it, but sometimes you can spray your friend too. And
you play around with it, of course.
Listen, I want
to. You described the feeling of, finding something. So we were filming there about 2-3 weeks ago. And just for the atmosphere, we took a bucket and we started sifting it. And the people that sifted it was Zaki, and it was Dr. Randall Price, a well-known archaeologist. He's dug around Jerusalem. And when he found the coin, everybody was jumping and hopping like kids. And you would imagine, and I asked him, to Price, you've done this before. You found coins. It's like, there's nothing like it. It's yet another coin under my name. And Zaki was excited. And everybody, the crew, it's something to find real, artifacts from ancient time. I think it has something to do with human nature. Right?
Yeah, I think it must never get old. And, I talked about the person in our group that found the coin, and the whole group was excited. But what was very exciting for us was to see how excited the people at the Sifting Project were as well. That,
still are, right? They still are excited about every find.
Yeah, that something had been found. They were also extremely excited. Now, so here's the sort of the $1 million question. In all of the sifting, 600,000 artifacts, has any proof of the Jewish temple been unearthed through the Sifting Project?
I think a few. I'm not an expert on this, but if I recall correctly from what I spoke to Zaki, the mosaic that was placed on the ground, it was very unique to that temple. In the sense that it was big, it was spread out. Usually, those mosaics were saved for small rooms because it was expensive and you had a lot of temples. And with Jerusalem, with the state of Israel, you just had one. So, all the money was put to that place. And it's big, and it's based on the descriptions that they see in the Bible. This is how they really reconstructed it. So they found this proof, and also they found seals with names that are mentioned in the Bible. So there you have it. If you find a seal of a king and you see it, you can see and read it. There you go. There's a proof that it's a story, and then there's reality. And when they come together, it's
amazing. Go back to my jigsaw puzzle analogy. I know it's very flawed, because with the jigsaw puzzle, you actually get a photo also to look at and go by, which they've had to figure out ways to think about what it might look like and how it goes together. It's like doing a jigsaw puzzle blind almost. And I think it's amazing to hear that that they can take a pieces and recreate a floor mosaic that they've never seen before. That's incredible. Now, talk about Temple Mount Soil and what led you to found this organization, and what do you offer?
There's a story to it. I've founded it with my partner, which was he really had this idea. Back in 2019, I was a VC. We have already been friends and business partners from another adventure. And he sold one of his companies that we invested in, and he had some time on his hands. And he was drawn to Jerusalem. So we started reading about Jerusalem, and how it goes in the internet. One thing leads to another, and then he found out about the Sifting Project. He went there, did the experience, with his kids, and it was as exciting as we speak about it. It was for him, and he got friendly with Zaki, and they started talking about it. And then he was really faced. He got to know that being funded, by the government and donations. And he said to Zaki, "You know what? I mean, the soil that you're throwing, it has a meaning. It's important. I know what you do with the sifting, with the artifact, that's the holy grail, so to speak, right? But the soil itself has meaning. How about we find a way to commercialize it that would, kick back to your organization, to your NGO, and help you fund it?" And Zaki, being an archaeologist, he said to him, "You know what? You're not the first person to talk to me about this. Definitely you won't be the last. We don't want to do anything around commercializations. We just do what we do about archaeology. Let's stay friends." At that time, Giora showed me, the sand and everything. I was also getting excited. And then, we got to know, and I sort of went on with my life. If you know Giora, you know that, and no is just a starting point to a yes. Sort of like with my eldest kid, the no is just a starting point. So he kept his relationship with Zaki. He's become really good friends with him. And over the past 4.5 years, he always tried, to find a way to commercialize it. And Zaki was very adamant about, let's keep on doing the archaeology and let's not try to commercialize it. In October 24, he read this article that the Sifting Project they hit a plateau in terms of donations. The funding from the Israeli government ran out. Israel being, held up in a war, budgets weren't abundant. And before he even managed to call Zaki, Zaki called him and said, "You know what, Giora, I think now is the time to discuss, the business side of things." And so Giora started, working on that. He, being friends, he discussed it with me, and I said to him, "Listen, let me help you. We've got the time, we've got the knowledge. Let's try, build something around it." And as we started, building it, I really fell in love with the project to an extent that I left everything that I'm doing. Had a good job, good position, good salary, everything, was very relaxed and enjoyable. But something was calling, something around, um, something about the soil, the earth, the fact that it moves people, the fact that it touches people in so many levels really spoke to me. And what we do really is we take that soil, that clean soil, 100% clean from artifacts, and we put it in products. So we have 3 products now that we've just started to market. And it's not just about, the soil itself. So it comes in a very nice package. Piece that you get is numbered, uniquely numbered. And you get a certificate signed by Zaki and Dr. Gabriel. You've got a booklet that describes all the history of the Temple Mount, and then redirects you to even more. And it really is about commemorating the history and the heritage of the place. And a big portion of every sale that we make goes back to fund the Sifting Project. So we're basically taking them from surviving mode to thriving mode. Having spoke about the fact that the expensive part is ahead of them, we're happy to be part of the funding process. I think maybe even the majority of it, if we look at it. And at the same time, we find a way to really help preserve and understand the history of the Temple Mount. So the mission here, it's not, it's a site that, like you said, it's important to Jews and Christians. And I think that by creating a substantial way to support that Sifting Project, we're keeping its work alive.
Mm-hmm.
We're also giving, an opportunity to hold really a piece of that history in your hand. You really can, I know it's for the first time in history, you can own a small piece of that history. And it's not just a keepsake. keep saying, in my opinion, it's a real connection to the biblical past, right? It's a way to hold history in your hands.
Yeah.
And we've heard from people that it's threatened their faith and by supporting the preservation of the sacred place. I think we do something that's very unique.
Yeah, I also think it's very unique. And when you and I first chatted about it back at NRB, very, very intriguing concept to me. And one of the reasons it's intriguing to me is that Isaiah 52, there's this statement where the prophet says, to Jerusalem, shake off your dust, rise up, sit enthroned, Jerusalem, and free yourself from the chains on your neck, daughter Zion, now a captive. And that verse, I remember the first time somebody mentioned that verse to me, it was actually one of the ladies that was working at the City of David, and Anarina Heyman, and she quoted that on one of our shows, and I was kind of captivated by this idea of Jerusalem and its dust, and how meaningful it is, sort of anywhere you dig in Jerusalem, in Israel for that matter.
Yes.
When you dig in the dust, you're literally, finding ancient history and ancient treasure. And nothing is more significant to Jews and to Christians as well, because, in that older part of the city of Jerusalem, is also where we believe that, Jesus was crucified and buried. And so it's very intriguing. And I think that there are probably a lot of people out there that will find this extremely interesting. You're not just you're just buying dirt. You're owning something biblical with a connection to the history of the nation of Israel and of the Jewish people. Omri, how can our viewers and our listeners find out more about the Temple Mount Soil Project and connect with you guys?
Yeah, so we've got a website. It's www.templemountsoil.com. Easy. There are ways, you can buy the products there. So we have the pendants. It comes in silver and gold, and we're now shipping the new product we've created. It's a classic gift set. It's really something that you really put on display. It really is very unique in how it looks. It comes, with a certificate and the booklet. I've got the certificate with me, so it's like, it really is something, it's numbered and it's signed with a seal. And there's this, the booklet about Temple Mount that really, describes everything that you need to know with the finding. We're really proud of the fact that, that we can help, this heritage. So you can go online, you can buy them. And you remember that, with every purchase that you make, you're really helping and supporting, the Temple Mount itself. Yeah. Thanks. I can show that, the pendant is also something that comes with a really special box, and inside it comes, a small pendant, something that you can wear. And we now, I don't know if you can see it because it's a bit of background. So, this is the pendant, the real soul, right?
Yeah.
When people see it, they start to play with it. They want to see it move. And, it's always exciting for me to see how people react to that. And if there's any ministries or pastors, we also support, wholesale. So if somebody wants to buy and give it to as donor gift. So we even have a few people that are doing fundraising through that, because it is unique and it sends a message. And again, it is symbolic, but it's also something very, I think, there's a lot of emotion into it.
Well, it is a beautiful concept, and I know that we're going to chat later in July about how we might partner together with this as well. And I think that I think that people listening, watching, are going to be interested in this. And I want to encourage you: don't wait for us. Go to the Temple Mount Soil website. We will have that up either in the description on YouTube and also in the description on the podcast, and probably as a lower third on the video here as well. But Omri, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. And by the way, just from our hearts to yours, please know that we're standing with you in this difficult time that Israel is experiencing right now.
Thank you.
And we do pray regularly for Israel and for the peace of Jerusalem, and we believe that a resolution will come, but also that we should wait until the resolution actually comes, and it requires some patience. But know that we're with you.
It's so important. I mean, it really warms the heart to know this. I mean, I was at NRB for the first time, and all my friends, I've never had such an amazing experience. So I felt, welcomed and appreciated and felt like a brotherhood to me, really, which, I was not aware of this before. So it really is heartwarming to see all the support that we get and we need it. And just like to say to you, I can also send, a promo code. We'll give 10% to your viewers if you like. I can send to Laura. You can also put it so that helps, people.
All right. Well, I encourage you to connect with her on those details. And again, thank you for being with us on the podcast today. Shalom and God bless.
Thank you for having me.